When I was 10 years old in 1953, living in Waterloo, Iowa, my grandfather gave me a book. It was called 100 Greatest Sports Heroes, and one of the chapters was on Frank Gotch. And it starts out by saying, growing up in a small Iowa town named Humboldt, Iowa, Frank Gotch went on to become the greatest wrestling champion of all time. And here I am today in Humboldt, Iowa, with two very dear friends who have come all the way from Los Angeles to partake of this moment. Raul Ramirez, Curran Jacobs, two catch wrestling experts extraordinaire, friends who it meant so much to come and be here at this place. This used to be known as Bicknell Park. Before that it was Riverside Park. It was in this very spot in 1911 that Frank Gotch prepared for his epic wrestling match with George Hackenschmidt in Chicago in 1911. There were occasions when there were up to 2,000 people crammed in this little area here to watch Frank Gotch train, just to watch him train. The east branch of the Des Moines River is behind us. It's an idyllic setting. About 5 years ago, I got in my mind when I was giving a speech here in Humboldt that there should be a statue of Frank Gotch. I went to Phil Munson, who's the editor of the newspaper, a terrific guy. I've known Phil for a long time. I said, Phil, you need to write an article getting the community to get behind the idea of a statue to Frank Gotch, who, in his era, was the best known athlete in America. Teddy Roosevelt invited him to the White House. He was star of a play that went up and down the East Coast. He was without question the best known athlete in America. Phil got on board, wrote an article, the chamber got on board. All of a sudden we had a committee of 12 to 14 people. Within 6 months they'd raised $85,000. And July 4th, 2012, in this very spot in 90-degree heat, over 500 people assembled. I was the keynote speaker, and we unveiled this statue of Frank Gotch. We had 1952 Olympic champion Bill Smith here, Brad Reingans, two-time Olympian, fourth in the world here, a former pro star, all kinds of state champions from Humboldt. It was a moment I'll never forget. And we dedicated this statue to the most famous wrestler in American history, Frank Gotch. You talk about Iowa's great love affair with the sport of wrestling, and I've told Dan Gable and Tom and Terry Brands, all the great Iowa wrestlers, it started in Humboldt, Iowa with Frank Gotch. He laid the groundwork for what Iowa has become known as a farming state and a wrestling state. Right here on these squares that people can purchase, Dan Gable's square says, after wrestling, everything else in life is easy. These squares are still available. People can still participate and be a part of this incredible tribute to Frank Gotch. So I'm really pleased to have Raul and Curran here to share this moment with two young catch wrestlers who I have the utmost respect for. And I will say this, if Frank Gotch was here, him and Raul and Curran would be over there exchanging moves right now.